Michael squinted at the digital display board hovering above the bustling crowds at the Earth spaceport Terminal C. His flight from Mars had left him with a crick in his neck and a grumbling disposition. As he navigated through the throng, his communicator buzzed incessantly. Another message from the mysterious legal firm, Gravin and Celestis Advocates, the screen flashed. Mr. Rayner, please confirm your arrival time for the 4:30 p.m. appointment. Your presence is crucial, the message read. Of course it's crucial, Michael muttered, adjusting his travel bag. He decided to take a detour to the food court for a much-needed caffeine fix. As he sipped his coffee, a man in a crisp suit approached him, standing a bit too close for comfort. Michael Rayner? He asked, extending a hand. That's me, Michael replied, eyeing the stranger warily. I'm Lucas, assistant to Advocate Gravin. I'm here to escort you to your appointment. Michael followed Lucas through a series of tubes and platforms, each bustling with people of all species and origins. As they walked, Lucas briefed him on the basics. You've been named the sole heir by your late uncle, Maximilian Theros. You might not remember him since he left Earth when you were just a toddler. Wait, I have an uncle? And he was an alien? Michael's surprise was genuine. Not exactly, Lucas chuckled. He was human, like you. But he married into an alien family and became a significant figure on Zenithra. Zenithra? Michael's knowledge of the galaxy's geopolitics was admittedly lacking. A trade powerhouse, one of the first planets to establish a peaceful exchange of technology and culture with humans. Your uncle was quite a pioneer. The duo finally reached a sleek building adorned with holographic insignias. Inside, Advocate Gravin, a tall figure with a stern face, awaited them. His office was a stark contrast to the chaotic spaceport, lined with artifacts from across the galaxies. Mr. Rayner, Gravin greeted, gesturing to a seat. Your uncle was a remarkable man, and his last wish was for you to inherit not only his estate, but also his responsibilities. Michael sank into the chair, his mind racing. What kind of responsibilities are we talking about? Gravin exchanged a look with Lucas before continuing. Your uncle's wife, Seline, is from one of Zenithra's leading families. The marriage was also a union between two powerful houses. And now, with no direct heirs, you are expected to step into his shoes fully. So, I inherit an alien wife too? Michael's voice was a mix of incredulity and amusement. Not inherit, per se, Gravin corrected, but the continuation of this alliance depends significantly on you marrying Seline. It was your uncle's wish, and it aligns with Zenithra's customs. Lucas handed Michael a tablet filled with data about Zenithra, Seline, and the estate he was to inherit. As Michael scrolled through the information, his initial shock gave way to curiosity. Tell me more about Seline. What is she like? Intelligent, poised, and highly respected in her field of xenobotany, Lucas provided, noticing Michael's growing interest. She's dedicated to her work and her planet's ecology. Michael leaned back, absorbing everything. A new planet, a new partner, and a new life. It was a lot to take in, but the adventurer in him felt a stir of excitement. So, when do I meet her? Michael finally asked, a tentative smile beginning to form. As soon as you're ready to travel to Zenithra, Gravin stated, his voice carrying a tone of finality. Then let's make arrangements, Michael said, standing up, his decision made. It's about time I did something unexpected. As they wrapped up the meeting, Michael felt the weight of his new reality settling in. He was about to embark on an adventure beyond anything he could have imagined. The journey to Zenithra was less about the distance traveled and more about the worlds and cultures that span that distance. Michael sat in the passenger bay of the sleek interstellar cruiser, piloted by Captain Elias, an old friend of his uncle. They'd just cleared the Kuiper Belt, and the star-streaked void of deep space sprawled before them. Your uncle was quite the explorer, Elias said, eyes twinkling as he navigated. He could find a way to broker peace where others only saw conflict. Michael, absorbing every story, nodded. Sounds like he was a diplomat as much as an adventurer. That he was, Elias chuckled. And from what I hear, Seline isn't too different. Passionate about her planet and its customs. You're about to step into a rich tapestry of history, my boy. The cruiser finally touched down on Zenithra's main port, a sprawling complex of floating platforms and soaring structures. As they disembarked, Michael's eyes widened at the sight of the towering flora and bioluminescent fauna. Everything pulsed with life, a vivid contrast to the mechanical grays of Earth. A delegation awaited them at the landing pad. A tall figure stepped forward, clearly not human, with iridescent skin and eyes that shimmered with a hint of silver. This was Seline. "Michael Rayner," she began, her voice melodious yet commanding. "Welcome to Zenithra." "Thank you," Michael replied, extending his hand in a typical Earth greeting. Seline took it, her touch cool and surprisingly firm. "If you'll follow me, I'll show you to your quarters and then give you a tour of the estate." Her tone was professional, but her smile was warm. As they walked, Elias leaned close to Michael. "I'll handle the ship. You handle the introductions." The estate was a marvel of Zenithran architecture, blending advanced technology with organic growths. Vines crept up the side of living buildings, and the air was fresh, scented with 1,000 flowers. "Your uncle invested much into this estate," Seline explained as they strolled through a lush garden. "These gardens are his legacy as much as the alliances he forged." Michael listened intently, more intrigued by Celine's reverence for his uncle than the exotic plants around them. "And what of you, Seline? I understand you're a xenobotanist?" "Yes, my work focuses on integrating Earth's botanical species with our ecosystems here. It's about balance and growth," she replied, her gaze sweeping over the gardens. They reached a pavilion overlooking a serene lake. Seline paused, looking out over the water. This was Maximilian's favorite spot. He said it reminded him of Earth. Michael joined her side, appreciating the view. "It's beautiful." "It is," she agreed, then turned to face him directly. "Michael, I know this arrangement is unusual. My marriage to your uncle was based on mutual respect and shared goals. I hope we can find a similar foundation." "I'd like that," Michael responded genuinely, impressed by her straightforwardness. The conversation shifted to lighter topics as they returned to the main building. Seline introduced Michael to several key members of the household staff, each a mix of human and Zenithran origins. Michael was particularly taken by the chef, who promised to teach him a few traditional recipes. That evening, Michael and Seline dined together, discussing everything from Earth's politics to Zenithran philosophy. The meal was a blend of Earth and alien cuisine, symbolizing the fusion of their worlds. As dinner concluded, Seline proposed, "Would you like to see some of Zenithra beyond the estate? I think it's important you understand where you are going to be living." "I would appreciate that," Michael said, eager to learn more not just about his new home, but about Seline herself. As they left the dining hall, walking side by side, Michael felt the first stirrings of a bond forming. Zenithra might be alien, and his situation unprecedented, but in Celine's company, he felt a surprising sense of potential. Maybe, just maybe, this could be home. The sun of Zenithra rose with a brilliance unmatched by any celestial body Michael had ever seen from Earth. The morning light cast a vibrant hue across the estate, reflecting off the bioluminescent plants and shimmering waters. Michael and Seline were joined by Dr. Henrik, a human expatriate and the estate's chief of technology, for a tour of the local city's technological hub. Dr. Henrik was an old friend of Michael's uncle and had agreed to help Michael adjust to the new technologies and customs of Zenithra. "Good morning, Michael." Dr. Henrik greeted him with a warm smile. "Ready to dive into Zenithran tech?" "As ready as I'll ever be," Michael replied, his curiosity piqued. Seline led them through the estate towards a sleek, hovering vehicle. "We'll take the Skyway. It's the quickest route to the city center." As they soared above the landscape, Michael was struck by the harmonious blend of nature and technology. "It's incredible how you've managed to integrate the two so seamlessly," he commented. "That's the Zenithran way," Seline explained. "We believe technology should enhance nature, not disrupt it." Their first stop was the city's central tech plaza, a bustling area filled with innovation hubs and research facilities. Dr. Henrik ushered them into a building marked as the Zenithra Advanced Research Complex. "Here we develop everything from agricultural drones to energy systems that power the city," Dr. Henrik said, leading them into a lab where scientists were engrossed in their work. One of the researchers, a zenithran named Jor-El, approached them with a friendly nod. Seline, always a pleasure to see you here. Jor-El, this is Michael. He's eager to learn about our projects, Seline introduced. Welcome, Michael, Jor-El said. Let me show you one of our latest innovations. He guided them to a workstation where a holographic display showed a complex ecosystem. This is a model for a self-sustaining biodome. It's designed to replicate any environment from across the galaxy. Michael was fascinated. Could it replicate Earth environments? Exactly, Jor-El confirmed. It's part of our cultural exchange initiative. We're hoping it will help zenithrans understand Earth better and vice versa. The tour continued with demonstrations of various technologies, from environmental controls to communication devices that could translate hundreds of languages in real time. Michael tried one, speaking in English, and marveled as it flawlessly translated his words into zenithran. This could have helped during my first awkward dinner on Mars, Michael joked, making the group laugh. As the day progressed, Michael's apprehension gave way to a burgeoning excitement. The possibilities of what could be accomplished with such technology seemed limitless. The final stop was a communal tech workshop where locals came to innovate and create personal projects. It's open to everyone, Dr. Henrik explained. Technology should be accessible to all, not just the experts. Michael watched as individuals of various species worked together, their camaraderie transcending language and cultural barriers. Inspired, he turned to Seline and Dr. Henrik. I'd like to set up a workshop like this on the estate. Maybe even start a tech exchange program with Earth. Seline looked pleased. I think that would be a wonderful idea. Dr. Henrik nodded in agreement. It's a fitting way to honor your uncle's legacy and your own new beginning here. As they returned to the estate, Michael felt a sense of purpose that went beyond his inheritance. He wasn't just inheriting a position. He was stepping into a role that could bridge worlds. With Seline and Dr. Henrik by his side, he was starting to see a future full of promise and innovation. Michael's adjustment to zenithran life was progressing, albeit not without its quirks and missteps. Today, he was set to explore the local market with Dr. Henrik and another human, Thomas, who had been living on Zenithra for several years. Morning, Michael, Thomas greeted as he joined him and Dr. Henrik at the estate's main gate. Ready to tackle the markets? I think so, Michael chuckled, but I'll rely on you two to stop me from making a fool of myself. The trio boarded a public transport, a sleek vessel that glided silently above the city. As they traveled, Thomas shared his own experiences of adapting to zenithran customs. It's all about patience and a lot of observation, Thomas advised. Zenithrans appreciate earnest effort, even if you bungle things a bit. The market was a vibrant collage of sounds, smells, and colors. Stalls brimming with exotic fruits, spices, and artisan crafts lined the streets. Zenithrans, along with a few other alien species, mingled and bartered in a cacophony of languages. First tip, Dr. Henrik whispered as they stepped into the throng. Always let the vendors state the price first. It's considered rude to offer money before they do. Michael nodded, following their lead. They approached a stall with an array of colorful fabrics. The vendor, a zenithran with bright plumage, chirped warmly at Seline. Ah, Seline's friend, the vendor cooed, her eyes narrowing curiously at Michael. You try, yes? Michael picked up a swath of fabric, admiring its texture. How much for this? He asked, remembering to wait for her cue. The vendor fluttered her feathers, a sign of amusement Thomas had explained earlier. For you, special price. As they moved from one stall to another, Michael tried his best to mimic the greetings and polite inquiries Dr. Henrik and Thomas used. At a food stall, he even attempted a few words in zenithran, much to the delight of the vendor who offered them samples of a local delicacy. See, you're a natural, Thomas laughed, clapping Michael on the back as they enjoyed the spicy treat. Maybe at eating, Michael grinned, his confidence growing. They spent the morning wandering through the market, and Michael purchased gifts to send back to his family on Earth. Each interaction was a learning experience, and he began to appreciate the subtleties of zenithran etiquette. However, not all went smoothly. At a technology booth showcasing miniature drones, Michael accidentally activated one, causing a minor commotion as it zipped wildly around the vendor's head. Deactivation phrase. Dr. Henrik shouted over the buzz of the drone. What? Michael yelled back, dodging as the drone swooped by his head. Say, Zilto, stop. Thomas chimed in, trying not to laugh. Zilto, stop. Michael cried out. The drone powered down immediately, dropping harmlessly into his hands. The vendor, though initially shocked, burst into laughter along with several onlookers. Good reflexes, Earthman, he chortled, accepting the drone back from Michael. I'm really sorry about that, Michael apologized, his cheeks burning. No harm, no foul, the vendor assured, still chuckling. Makes for a good market day story, yes? As the day wound down, the trio sat at a local eatery, recounting the day's adventures. Michael shared his mishap at the drone booth again, and they all laughed together. Every mistake is just part of the journey, Dr. Henrik said, raising his glass in a toast. To Michael, the brave Earthman who conquers the market. To conquering the market, Michael echoed, feeling more a part of this world than ever before. As they returned to the estate, Michael felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. Each day brought its challenges, but also a deeper connection to his new home. With friends like Dr. Henrik and Thomas, he was sure he could navigate any cultural hurdles that came his way. As the zenith day faded into the soft hues of twilight, Michael found himself walking beside Seline in the lush, bioluminescent gardens of the estate. The evening was cool, and the air was filled with the gentle glow of phosphorescent flowers and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. It's beautiful here, Michael said, taking in the serene landscape that had become both a comfort and a curiosity to him. Seline smiled, her face illuminated by the soft light of a nearby lumifern. It's peaceful. I come here often to think. They walked in comfortable silence for a moment before Michael spoke up again. I've been here for a while now, and every day seems like a new lesson. Today, at the market with Thomas and Dr. Henrik, it was eventful. Seline laughed lightly. I heard about the drone incident. It's become quite the story among the staff. Michael grinned sheepishly. Yes, I'm making quite a name for myself, aren't I? It's good to make mistakes, Seline remarked earnestly. It shows you're trying, that you're part of this world. Her words made him pause. I want to be part of this world, Seline, not just because of my uncle's wishes, but because of you. The confession hung in the air between them, more significant than the myriad stars above. Seline stopped walking, turning to face him fully. And I want you to be here, Michael, not just as an obligation, but as yourself. Encouraged, Michael reached out tentatively to take her hand. The contact was electrifying yet right. Seline did not pull away. Instead, she stepped closer. I've been alone in managing these responsibilities for a while, she said softly. Having you here, feeling this connection, it's new and it's nice. Michael's heart raced as he sensed the shift in their dynamic. Can I be honest? I was so focused on the estate, the technology, the culture. I didn't expect to find this. He gestured slightly with his free hand, indicating their growing closeness. Celine's hand tightened around his. Neither did I. Looking into her eyes, Michael felt drawn in by the depth of her gaze. Emboldened, he leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. But she didn't. Instead, she met him halfway, and their lips touched in a gentle, exploratory kiss. The kiss deepened, and Michael felt a rush of emotions. They broke apart after a moment, breathless. I guess we're doing this then, he murmured, half question, half statement. Yes, we are, Seline replied, her voice filled with a mixture of wonder and decisiveness. They continued their walk, hands clasped, occasionally stopping to admire a particularly vibrant flower or to share a lingering look. The garden around them felt alive, almost celebrating their newfound connection. As they reached a small bridge over a glowing stream, Michael stopped and turned to Seline again. This might be too fast, too soon, but being with you feels right. It's as if everything I've experienced led me to this moment. Seline stepped close, her expression earnest. Life on Zenithra is about harmony and balance. Maybe we're finding our balance now together. Michael smiled, leaning in for another kiss, this time more confident. When they parted, he whispered. "Now I am all yours." "And I am yours," Seline echoed, her voice a tender vow. As the night deepened, they made their way back to the estate, not just as partners in duty, but as companions in life. Each step forward a shared beat in the quiet symphony of the Zenithran night. The days on Zenithra began to meld into each other, each one deepening the bond between Michael and Seline. Their newfound connection brought them not just closer to each other, but also drew them deeper into the estate's day-to-day life. Today, they had decided to spend the day exploring the more secluded parts of the estate, areas that Seline rarely visited and Michael had yet to see. "Are you sure you want to skip the staff meeting for this?" Michael asked as they prepared their light packs with provisions and tools for the day. Seline smiled, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Absolutely. Dr. Henrik can handle anything that comes up, and I can't think of a better way to spend the day than showing you these parts of the estate." They started their expedition early, with the Zenithran sun casting a warm, golden glow over the lush landscapes. Their first stop was the ancient groves, a section of the estate where the trees were said to be centuries old, their trunks twisted into spectacular natural sculptures. As they walked, their conversation flowed from light-hearted, teasing to more serious discussions about their plans for the estate. "I've been thinking," Michael began, tracing his hand along the rough bark of an ancient tree, "about starting a conservation program for these groves. They're incredible, and I think people should know about them." Seline looked around, her expression thoughtful. "I love that idea. These trees are a part of Zenithra's heritage. Preserving them not only honors that heritage, but could also teach others the value of conservation." Encouraged by her enthusiasm, Michael grinned. "We could set up tours, educational programs, maybe even a virtual archive for those who can't visit in person." "That's a fantastic idea," Seline agreed, her hand finding his as they walked. "And it fits perfectly with our vision of blending technology with nature." Their next destination was the waterfall basin deep within the estate, a natural pool fed by a series of small waterfalls. The area was remote, rarely visited even by the estate staff. As they approached the sound of cascading water, Michael's excitement grew. "I've seen pictures of this place in the estate archives, but I never realized how beautiful," Seline offered, stepping closer to the water's edge. "Yes, beautiful," Michael echoed, watching the light play on the mist from the waterfalls. They spent the afternoon by the basin, talking and sharing stories of their lives before their paths had crossed. Michael talked about his family and friends back on Earth, his early dreams of exploring the stars. Seline shared tales of her childhood on Zenithra, her studies in xenobotany, and the expectations placed on her as a member of one of the leading families. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Michael turned to Seline. "Today has been perfect. Thank you for sharing this with me." Celine's response was a gentle smile. "I should be thanking you. I haven't visited this place in years. I forgot how much peace it brings me." In the fading light, they sat close together by the water's edge. Michael reached over to brush a stray leaf from Celine's hair, his touch lingering. Seline turned to face him, her hand coming up to cup his cheek. "Michael, there's something about this place, about being here with you. It feels like everything is falling into place." Michael leaned into her touch, his voice soft. "I feel it too. I was nervous about all of this at first, the estate, the responsibilities, our marriage. But now, being here with you, I can't imagine being anywhere else." Their lips met in a kiss that was both a seal on their past discussions and a promise for the future. As they pulled away, Michael whispered, "Now I am all yours." "And I am yours," Seline whispered back, the bond between them sealed not just by duty but by genuine affection and mutual dreams for the future. They spent the rest of the evening by the waterfall, making plans and sharing hopes, the sound of the water a soft backdrop to their growing love. As Michael and Seline grew closer and began implementing their shared visions for the estate, they found themselves facing unexpected external pressures. News of their union and the innovative conservation projects had spread throughout Zenithra and beyond, attracting attention from various sectors, some supportive, others critical. One morning, as Michael reviewed the latest feedback with Dr. Henrik and Thomas in his study, he couldn't help but feel the weight of these challenges. Seems like not everyone is thrilled with our approach, Michael sighed, setting down the tablet displaying a stream of mixed reviews from the public and some pointed criticism from traditionalists. It's natural for change to meet resistance, Dr. Henrik advised, his voice calm. But remember, your initiatives are sound, and they have Celine's and the community's backing. That counts for a lot here. Thomas nodded in agreement. Plus, you're bringing a fresh perspective that many find refreshing. Don't underestimate the support from the younger generations and tech communities. Their discussion was interrupted by a call from Celine. Michael, can you and the others come to the main hall? There's a delegation from the council here to see us. Puzzled, Michael exchanged looks with his colleagues. On our way, he responded. When they arrived at the main hall, they found Celine waiting with a group of dignitaries. The air was thick with tension, and it was clear this was no routine visit. Michael, everyone, Celine began, her tone formal yet edged with concern. This is Counselor Arjun and his associates. They've brought some concerns that they wish to discuss with us. Counselor Arjun, a stern-looking zenithran, stepped forward. Indeed. While we appreciate the innovative spirit of your projects, there are concerns about the pace of change and its impact on our traditions and social fabric. Michael listened intently, then addressed the counselor. I understand your concerns, Counselor. We're committed to ensuring that our projects honor Zenithran values. Perhaps there's room for dialogue on how we can better align our initiatives with community expectations. Dr. Henrik chimed in, we've already seen significant interest in our conservation efforts, especially among the youth. There's a growing appreciation for our approach to integrating technology and nature. Thomas added, and from a cultural exchange standpoint, these projects have the potential to strengthen ties with Earth and other allies, broadening our horizons. Counselor Arjun listened, his expression unchanging. These are valid points, but we must proceed with caution. Our society values balance, and it's crucial that we maintain it. Seeing the opportunity to bridge understanding, Celine suggested, why don't we arrange for some of you to visit our projects? See firsthand the work we're doing and meet the people involved. It could provide a better perspective. After a moment of consideration, Counselor Arjun nodded. That seems reasonable. I will arrange for a delegation to visit next week. As the delegation left, Michael let out a relieved sigh. That could have gone worse. Celine smiled at him, squeezing his hand. You handled that well. It's important that they see we're listening and willing to collaborate. Thanks to all of you for backing me up, Michael acknowledged Dr. Henrik and Thomas. I think we're going to make it through this. With a new hurdle to overcome, they began preparing for the upcoming visit, determined to showcase the positive impacts of their work. As they worked together, their resolve strengthened, knowing that these challenges were just another step in their journey to blend their worlds. The day of the delegation's visit had arrived, and the estate was a hive of activity. Michael, alongside Celine, Dr. Henrik, and Thomas, made final preparations, ensuring that every aspect of their project shone under scrutiny. The morning was brisk, with a slight breeze that seemed to unveil the significance of the day. As they awaited the arrival of Counselor Arjun and his associates, Michael couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Do you think they'll be impressed? He asked Celine quietly as they stood watching the driveway from the front steps of the main house. Celine squeezed his hand reassuringly. They will see the heart and soul we've put into this place. Just be yourself, show them your vision. The delegation arrived punctually, their sleek transport gliding to a stop before them. Counselor Arjun stepped out first, followed by several other council members. The initial greetings were cordial, with Celine leading the introductions. Welcome to our home, Celine began, her voice clear and welcoming. We are eager to show you how our projects are not only preserving Zenithra's heritage, but also enhancing it. The tour started with the ancient groves. Michael led the way, explaining the conservation techniques they'd implemented and their plans for educational programs. These groves are a living library of our planet's history, he said passionately. We want to ensure they're still here for generations to come. Dr. Henrik demonstrated some of the technology they used, like drones that monitored the health of the trees without disturbing the surrounding area. It's all about minimal impact, he explained. The delegation seemed genuinely interested, asking detailed questions and examining the equipment. The atmosphere began to relax a little as they moved to the next site. At the waterfall basin, Thomas shared how the area served as a natural retreat and a study center for zenitha ecology. It's a perfect example of how we can balance development with nature, he pointed out. Lunch was served in the garden pavilion, where dishes made from locally sourced ingredients were paired with discussions about cultural exchange and technological innovation. As they ate, Counselor Arjun spoke up, his tone more open than before. I must admit, I was skeptical about some of these initiatives. But seeing them in person, understanding the thoughtfulness behind each decision, it's quite compelling. Encouraged by his words, Michael responded, "We hope to not just maintain but enrich our cultural heritage through these innovations. We believe that by working together, we can achieve much more." The afternoon ended with a casual tea session in the main hall, where the group discussed potential collaborations. The delegates had many suggestions, ranging from joint educational programs to cross-planet tech symposiums. As the delegation prepared to leave, Counselor Arjun approached Michael and Seline. "Thank you for your hospitality and for sharing your vision with us. It's clear you both care deeply for Zenithra's future. We look forward to working more closely with you." After the delegates had departed, Michael, Seline, Dr. Henrik, and Thomas gathered in the garden, a sense of relief and accomplishment among them. "We did it," Seline said, smiling broadly. "We really did it." "Yes, we did," Michael agreed, wrapping an arm around her. "Today felt like a new beginning." "It was," Dr. Henrik added. "You two are not just preserving Zenithra's past, you're shaping its future." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the estate, Michael felt a profound connection to the planet and to Seline. "Here's to our future, together," he toasted, raising an imaginary glass. "To our future," Seline echoed, her eyes bright with joy and love. Together, they watched the sunset, confident in their shared path forward, their lives intertwined with the fate of Zenithra, each ready to face whatever challenges and triumphs lay ahead.